Hi everyone. Don't really find Crisco here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Vic Mensa EP. There's a lot going on. Vic Mensa is a Chicago rapper and songwriter, former member of the band Kids These Days, and he broke solo back in 2013 with his Inane tape release. And while he's gotten a lot of attention since the release of that tape, he's yet to really leave much of an impression on me. In my opinion, he's always seemed just halfway to making something interesting. And it seemed like he was getting farther and farther away from doing that once he started dropping more features and more singles that just had a way more commercial appeal. The track Feel That is certainly a great viral hit for him, but the song Down on My Luck, the pop and hip house fusion of that track, combined with the really bad singing from Vic, just could not get into this cut. And that No Chill single that he just did with Skrillex not too long ago, weak. But I was pretty surprised with this new EP over here. It seems like Vic is showing way more potential than usual. Now this thing is just 7 tracks, but this project features some of Vic's best material yet, some of his worst so far too. The song Dynasty is a solid intro track. I like Vic's voice and his delivery on this cut, even though the song doesn't come through with a really hard-hitting beat and gives Vic a lot of space. It's a very sparse instrumental toward the beginning of the track. He commands attention really well on the cut, and when the beat eventually explodes with some very bassy and heavy percussion, that's a little trap-inspired. It actually goes off really well. Lyrically, Vic is trying to paint a bit of a picture here. He's been around for a while now, but it's almost as if he's introducing himself to us for the first time in a way. He raps about his city, Chicago. One line that I liked was when he was talking about there were days before people referred to it as Chirac, and then Chief Keef blew up, and now it's a drill. But then the track eventually devolves into a bunch of Roc Nation shoutouts since he just got signed to Jay-Z's label. There are actually quite a few of those on this EP. There's some decent similes and metaphors in Vic's lyrics, but again, the thing that I'm most impressed with is his delivery, his hunger on this track, his very steady flow. And I could tell as he's rapping this track, he's really feeling every word. And the more intense and passionate 16 Shots comes right after, which is in all respects a protest song. A song not only about police violence, but the tensions that the police force are having with black communities and Black Lives Matter protesters. Not specifically naming the movement, but you know the recent history that Vic is referencing here on this track, citing the deaths of Eric Garner and others too. And the outro is really chilling, which goes into very grave detail, discussing a particular police shooting. These 2 tracks so far are great. The cover, super gritty, seems like a big image change for Vic, and at this point, I'm just ready to hear the rest of this great EP. But then the EP essentially makes its downward ascent into a series of incredibly lackluster songs. The song Danger, whose refrain sounds like it was written by a really edgy bar band that performs every Saturday night at the Chicken Wing Hut, and they perform a mix of nu metal originals and some of Metallica's greatest hits. You know me, I like the danger. The singing on this track is not good. I don't get the appeal of Vic singing still. His singing voice doesn't really sound like it's improved by any stretch of the imagination. And then his lyrics on this cut start getting super general, to the point where there are some bars or I guess a few flows here that remind me of Big Sean, except I will give Vic Mensa a compliment here and say that he does have a more bite to his delivery. You know, he sounds like if Big Sean could actually sell being tough. But still, man, the Steve Aoki line on this track and the OG Mako line on this track, ugh. The best thing about the track was the instrumental, which featured some kind of weird grainy vocals that reminded me of like the first Crystal Castles record. The song New Bay, super cheap. Sounds like what could have been a Travis Scott song if it had better production. You know, I like these kind of dreary, woozy, strange, auto-tuned rap ballads, but they kind of need the sound to make it all work, and this track does not have the sound. And the song Liquor Locker is even worse. I knew that I was going to hate this track the moment I heard the guitar right at the start. And it's kind of one of these funky contemporary R&B cuts. Sounds like something that could have been on the new Ty Dolla $ign record, except it just pales in comparison to the tracks that were on that album. Vic Mensa is one of those artists who feels like he needs to do everything, and I don't know why. Is it because he doesn't know what to do? He doesn't have a particular sound to stick to, or a particular idea, or narrative, or theme, or story, or whatever. He does a little bit of everything okay, so he's not really great at any one thing as a result. Instrumentally and melodically, I think the track is sound, but the incredibly insipid lyrics, combined with the bad singing and the auto-tune on the singing, just make the track unbearable. Now then we have the very jazzy and slick Shades of Blue, where we actually come back to some incredibly thoughtful lyrics. Some of my favorite verses on the EP here turn up. There's some pretty powerful bars on this track about dirty water in Flint, Michigan, poor communities being the first to be hurt, when budget cuts come around. The sound of this track is so borrowed. It sounds like a mix of J. Cole and Drake. Like if Cole was on the verse and Drake was on a few bars here and there, but did the chorus mostly. And then we have some lackluster bars in this track, like I'm a prodigy in these Prodigenes. And even though Vic does a great job of pointing out poetically some current events that are very important and should be in the public consciousness, the entire track just kind of boils down to this really cliche conclusion of, yeah, I care about these things, I'm sort of down for the cause mentally, but I don't donate any money, I'm not spending money on the movement, instead I'm in the strip club spending money on the movement of that ass. It's just another one of those I'm flawed tracks, you know. It's like I want to be good, but I can't be good, but like what's stopping you from being good? Like no explanation. Ugh. It's like the personal shortcomings he's laying everything on keep him from actually analyzing his shortcomings in a meaningful and compelling way. Then there's the title track, the closing track of this EP, and I guess in a sense it does wrap the album up, and it does live up to the title, as the entire track just kind of feels like an update of everything that's been happening to Vic Mensa up until this point, from when he was in Kids These Days and the band folded and that, you know, really hurt him and just kind of rocked his life a little bit, to getting signed to Jay-Z. There's even a point where he goes into a weird detail about getting into like a physical altercation with a girl that he was with, and I think he ended up like doing a little choke on her the neck. As dirty as some of the laundry is here that Vic exposes, whether it be drug addictions or trying his hardest to sort of navigate his way through the music industry and build a solid career, the track, it's only going to be compelling to people who are invested in Vic's come up until this point. You know, if you've been a Vic fan, you'll care about this track. If this is your first exposure to Vic and all the previous tracks didn't wow you, then I don't see why this song is going to be of interest to you. He put a lot of heart into it, but again, it's kind of like at the end of a movie where something horrible happens to a character and you're just kind of left emotionless, because up until that point, the film had done a bad job of actually making you invest emotionally in the people who the film starred. Again, a couple of my favorite Vic Mensa tracks have managed to make it onto this EP. I see more potential in Vic than I ever have before. However, this thing is just so inconsistent. It lacks identity, and there are a couple not really good songs on here. It seems like Vic really wants to have one foot in the conscious world and one foot in the pop rap world, and I think there are some rappers that play that balancing act well. I can't say I think Vic is playing it all that well here. I think the conscious tracks come ahead of the poppier tracks on this project. I think they're the most riveting cuts on the EP, And hopefully Vic pursues that in the future a little harder, because I think it's where I see the most potential with him. But even if he were to sort of put that down and concentrate simply on the pop rap tracks, maybe he'll get better at that. All I'm seeing is just a lack of progress with him trying to spread himself too thin and do everything here. I'm feeling a strong 5 to a light 6 on this thing.
Transition. Have you given this EP a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best. You're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like. If you like, please subscribe. Please don't die. Drink some water. Eat some veggies. Have a nice day. Vic Mensa. There's a lot going on. Watch another video forever.